वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्णा। टुडे we continue in chapter fifth shloka number 33 and 34. आमय यः च भूतानां जायते येन सुव्रत तत्एव हि आमयं द्रव्यं न पुनाति चिकित्सितम्।
एव हि आमयं द्रव्यं न पुनाति चिकित्सितम्।
एवं नॄणां क्रियायोगः सर्वे संसृति हेतवः।
एवं द्रूणां क्रियायोगः सर्वे संसृतिहेतवः।
ते एव आत्मविनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पितः परे।
एव आत्मविनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पितः परे।
आमय च भूतानां जायते येन सुव्रत
अहमयाय च भूतानां जायते येन सुव्रतः।
तत्एव हि आमयं द्रव्यं न पुनाति चिकित्सितम्।
तत् एव हि आमयं द्रव्यं न पुनाति चिकित्सितम्।
एवं नॄणां क्रियायोगाः सर्वे संसृति हेतवः।
एवं द्रूणां क्रियायोगः सर्वे संस्कृतिहेतवः।
ते एव आत्मविनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पितः परे।
ते एव आत्मविनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पितः परे। आमय
आमय
भूतानां
रीड
जायते येन सुव्रतः तत् एव हि आमयं द्रव्यं न पुनाति चिकित्सितम्। एवं द्रूणां क्रियायोगः सर्वे संस्कृतिहेतवः। ते एव आत्मविनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पितः
कल्पन्ते
परे।
कल्पिता परे।
आशीष प्रभु जी।
आमयो यश्च भूतानां जायतो येन सुव्रत तद् एव हि आमयं द्रव्यं न पुनति चिकित्सितम्। एवं नृणं क्रियायोगः सर्वे संसृति हेतवः। त एवात्मा विनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पिता
पूनम माता
परे।
जी। पूनम माता जी। Then
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। आमयो यश्च भूतानां जायते येन सुव्रतः तद एव हि आमयं द्रव्यं न पुनाति चिकित्सितम्। एवं नृणां क्रियायोगा सर्वे संसृति हेतवः। त एव आत्मविनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पितः परे।
डॉक्टर पगौली माता जी और श्रीधर प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण। आमयो यस्य भूतानां जायते येन स्मृतः तत्येव हि आमयं द्रव्यं न पुनादि स्थितम्। एवं दृढितं योगा सर्वो संस्थितिहेतवः। त एवात्मा विनाशाय कल्पन्ते कल्पितः परे। हरे कृष्ण।
डॉक्टर पगौली माता जी।
Thank you, Prabhuji. Amayo yasta bhutanam jayate yena suvrata tatyeva hi amayam pradayam na punyati shikshitam evam nirnam kriya yoga sarve samshriti shiketava evatma vinashaya kalpante kalpita pare. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Thus, when all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which caused his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. An expert physician treats his patient with a therapeutic diet. For example, milk preparation sometimes cause disorder of the bowels, but the very same milk converted into curd and mixed with some other remedial ingredients cures such disorders. Similarly, the threefold miseries of material existence cannot be mitigated simply by material activities. Such activities have to be spiritualized, just as by fire iron is made red hot, and thereby the action of fire begins. Similarly, the material conception of a thing is at once changed as soon as it is put into the service of the Lord. That is the secret of spiritual success. We should not try to lord it over the material nature, nor should we reject material things. The best way to make the best use of a bad bargain is to use everything in relation with the supreme spiritual being. Everything is an emanation from the supreme spirit, and by his inconceivable power he can convert spirit into matter and matters into spirit. Therefore, a material thing, so called, is at once turned into a spiritual force by the great will of the Lord. The necessary condition for such a change is to employ so called matter in the service of the spirit. That is the way to treat our material diseases and elevate ourselves to the spiritual plane where there is no misery, no lamentation, and no fear. When everything is thus employed in the service of the Lord, we can experience that there is nothing except the Supreme Brahman. The Vedic mantra that everything is Brahman is the realized by us creative work which has perpetually engaged in the living being is compared to the banyan tree in the Bhagavad Gītā, for it is certainly very deeply rooted. As long as the propensity for enjoying the fruit of work is there, one has to continue the transmigration of the soul from one body or one place to another according to one's nature of uh, according to the one's nature of work. The propensity for enjoyment may be turned into the desire for serving the mission of the Lord. By doing so, one's activity is changed into karma yoga, or the way by which one can attain spiritual perfection while engaging in the work for which he has a natural tendency. Here, the word Atma indicates the categories of all purity work. The conclusion is that when the result of all productive and other work is conducted with the service of the Lord, it will cease to generate further karma and will gradually develop into transcendental devotional service, which will not only cut off completely the root of the banyan tree of work, but will also carry the performer to the lotus feet of the Lord. The summary is that one has to first of all seek the association of pure devotees who not only are learned in the Vedanta but are self-realized souls and unalloyed devotees of Lord Sri Krishna. In that association, the neophyte devotees must render loving service physically and mentally without reservation. This service attitude will induce the great soul to be more favorable in bestowing their mercy, which inject the neophyte with all the transcendental qualities of pure devotees. Gradually, this is developed into a strong attachment to hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which makes him able to catch up the constitutional position of the gross and subtle bodies, and beyond them, the knowledge of the pure soul and his eternal relation with the Supreme Soul, the personality of Godhead. After the relation is ascertained by establishment of the eternal relation, pure devotional service to the Lord begins, gradually developing into perfect knowledge of the personality of Godhead beyond the purview of impersonal Brahman, and localize the Paramatma by such Purushottam Yoga, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gītā. One is made perfect even during the present corporeal existence, and one exhibit all the good qualities of the Lord to the highest percentage. Such is the gradual development of the association of pure devotees. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam स्थापितम येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुत पदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिने ते नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 Hare Krishna. So we continuing discussion. Prabhuji will tell us about these two shlokas. What is the important? What is main aim of our life? That is describing in detail. Prabhuji will tell us in detail.
Hare Krishna. It's a very important word. Actually, this verse is the essence of Krishna consciousness movement. Is what Prabhupada says when I was discussing this shloka in Vrindavan. So basically, people become diseased by self-gratification. So everyone knows this. Too much self-gratification means creating disease. This is something which is not a is. So what is the position of is for a human being or a living entity? It is Nityera Krishna Dasaha Jivera Swarupa Kaya Nityera Krishna Dasa. So once you are in that position of being a Nitya Das of you, then you are at ease. But what self-gratification does is it removes you from that position. And so it is dis-ease. At the present moment, people are becoming more and more clear. They are simply educated to gratify people. The whole world is becoming careful. Busy especially. And it's not that only.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Low sound.
Not out. Hare Krishna. Am I audible now?
Yes, very much.
Okay. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Please forgive me. So, and it's not just the common people, even the leaders. And just like the leaders, the common people become more self-gratifying. यत् यत् ācarati śreṣṭhaḥ tat eva itarah jana sayat pramanam kurute lokah tat anuvartate. Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gītā 3.21. So if a person, prime minister, president, chief minister, cheats his countrymen some or other, then why not others? They will also do the same thing. So in this way, the more we are inclined to self-gratification, the more we are becoming sinful. And more we are becoming sinful, the more we must suffer. That is the law of nature. And this is what comes in this shloka. Amaya cha bhutanam jayate yena suvratah. Now, if you act according to the śāstras, then that is called karma, lawful activities. And they are good. But if you don't act according to śāstras, they are unlawful activities. Then that is bad. Because then that results in bondage. Now, if you practically speak, no one can gratify senses more than necessity. Everywhere, this is a stringent law of nature. Devi hi shagunama imam maya dhritteya. Krishna says this, that you cannot surpass the maya. So, even if you want to eat the whole preparation of all the rasgullas for that day, still after a period of time, you will start getting indigestion. And you may also vomit. So you cannot complete it. And same goes for any of your senses. So, if we live only for sense gratification, then we become entangled in the law of karma. And that is something which is mentioned in Bhagavad Gītā 3.13 itself. Bhuñjate aghaṁ pāpaṁ ye pachanti ācarati. So the question becomes how karma can be engaged. And that is something which is prescribed in this verse. And that answer is amaya yacha bhutanam jayate yena suvratah. So amaya means mucus or disease. So there is mucus, there is disease. Yatra bhutana. Due to eating or due to pacifying too much things. Like eating too much milk preparation, you get disease. Tada eva hi amayam dravyam na punati cikitsitam. The same milk preparation which has caused the disease, it can be cured by the same milk preparation, cikitsitam. But then for that it should be medically treated. The milk is same. It is the cause of the dysentery. The same milk, when medically treated, it can cure it. Like for rabri, milk is the origin. You like rabri, you eat. You take too much, dysentery. And what is cikitsitam? The same milk converted into yogurt. We add little black pepper, little salt, lime, and it will cure. So the origin is the milk. So one way you become diseased and the other way we become cured. Preparation is same. Similarly, our activities in this material world with the material elements, when we violate the laws, we become entangled. But same material activities, when it is turned into Krishna Prasadam, dotted with Krishna for hearing and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is curable. What is the difference? Because it is cikitsitam. It is for Krishna. Like people generally spoil so much of money, energy. They purchase so much of cement, bricks, other things for building a theater or a dancing hall. Person's gratification. But the same energy spent for dancing for Krishna, same hall, you become liberated. So by one dancing, you go to hell. And another dancing hall, you become liberated. This is the secret. People have got the tendency for sense gratification. That is the material disease. So instead of satisfying the senses, try to satisfy the senses of Krishna. Then we become liberated. That is called cikitsitam. There is sense gratification. There was sense gratification. It will be. However, when we chant and dance, it is not our sense gratification. It is Krishna's sense gratification. Oh, these devotees, they are glorifying me. They are dancing. Blessed they are. Immediately we draw attention of Krishna because it is bhakti. Shravanam kirtanam Vishnu smarnam pada sevanam archanam mandiram dasyam bhagavatitanam manne aditam. This is the best thing. We shall dance for Krishna. We shall eat for Krishna. We shall print books for Krishna. We'll have Zoom calls for Krishna. Not newspapers. You shall secure money for printing for Krishna. The same thing, the same printing, same working, same dancing, same eating, but for Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. Simply we have to change interest. Everyone is acting for self-interest, but Bhakti Marga, devotional service of Krishna's interest, that is real interest. So what is important to understand is that we need not work for self gratification or personal interest. Real interest is how to satisfy Krishna. That is real interest. But people don't understand it. Nate vidho svarthagatim hi Vishnu. Everyone is, I have got my interest. But they don't know what is the real interest. The real interest has to be to satisfy Krishna. Karmi means they're working for their so-called interest, and bhakti means they're working for Krishna's interest. The devotional activities means instead of satisfying the personal senses, we want to satisfy Krishna. That method is called bhakti. So the activities of senses should not be stopped. It should be repaired or reformed. That is cikitsitam, properly treated, under the direction of physician. And who is the physician? The doctor. He is Guru. And Guru's work is to instruct the people, instruct the disciple. My dear son, you do not work for your so-called sense gratification. You try to satisfy Krishna's sense. Then your life is perfect. This is the doctor's duty. And this is the patient's duty. So cikitsitam is purification. We have got disease, purify yourself. To work for Krishna's sense gratification and to work for own sense gratification, this transformation change, this changing process is something which is bhakti. The process is same. Simply account should be changed. That's all. Nate viduhu svarthagatim hi Vishnum durashraya bahir arthamaninaha. So we just change. No, now we will do everything for Krishna only. Because finally, the activities that we do, they are the ones which is going to define what we are going to get. Karmana deva netrena jantu deo utpattaye. Simply by so-called activities will be entangled in the law of karma. And according to karma, we'll get different types of body and we'll live for some time. Again, we will die. Again, we'll get a body. Again, we will die. And you do not know what kind of body we will get. So this is the entanglement. Yajñarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana. So if you want to be free from entanglement of this karma, then we must work for Krishna. Krishna's another name is Yajna also. Yajna Puja Vishnu. Yajnarthat karmanaha. This is Chikitsaka. So we should handle everything material properly after treating it. We should not work for anyone. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us a lesson that we are Jivera Swarupa hai Nitya Krishna Dasa. So every living entity is eternally the servant of Krishna. So instead of becoming servant of the senses, we have to become the servant of Krishna. Then the life will be successful. Don't be Maya Das, become a Krishna Das. That is important. That is what continues. Because when a man's activities, Narad Muniji is saying, are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which caused his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of life. Now let us take an example for these shlokas. We had the corona virus, which causes the COVID disease. So many people died. What was the preventive measure? Again, the same virus, which was changed, modified. So same thing which was causing disease is now preventing disease. If you have a snake bite, you go and take anti-snake venom. So what is the anti-snake venom made of? It is again the same snake's poison which is removed, treated and used to treat snake bite patients. So similarly, whatever work we do, if it is a fruitive work, it is bondage. But if you do it for Krishna, it is a medicine. The fruitive work has been perpetually engaging the living being. And it is compared to the banyan tree in Bhagavad Gītā, if you all remember. Urdhva Moolam, 15th chapter. It is certainly very deeply rooted. So as long as the propensity for enjoying the fruit of work is there, one has to continue the transmigration of the soul from one body or place to another, according to one's nature of work. So this city has to be turned into a desire for serving the mission of the Lord. By doing so, one's activity is changed into karma yoga, or the way by which we can attain spiritual perfection while engaging in the work for which we have a natural tendency. When the result of all the fruitive and other work is total into the service of the Lord, it will cease to generate further karma and gradually develop into transcendental devotional service, which will not only cut off completely the root of the banyan tree, also carry the performer to the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is a very good cycle which has been explained in the Shastras, as I'm going to show on the screen here. So what actually happens is, it all starts that we first of all seek the association of pure devotees, bhakta, who are very learned. Through bhakta we reach the Guru, who is learned in Vedanta, who is self-realized, who is unalloyed devotee of Lord Krishna. So once you start getting this association, in that association, we start rendering service physically and mentally without reservation. So we are doing listening and we have started rendering service. So this service attitude then induces to be the person, the Vedantist, the Guru Maharaj, who more favorable in bestowing their mercy. And this then injects with all the transcendental qualities of pure devotees. So we start getting the pure qualities. And then this develops into a strong attachment to hearing, Shravanam. And because of that, we are able to catch up the constitutional position of gross subtle bodies, and beyond them, the knowledge of pure soul, our relationship with Krishna. And after this relationship is ascertained, by establishment of interrelation, the pure devotional service begins, gradually developing into perfect knowledge of Krishna beyond purview of simple Brahman and localized Paramatma. And thus, one becomes perfect even during the present existence. And we start exhibiting good qualities of Lord to the highest percentage. So this is how the gradual development of bhakti happens moment we start associating with the pure devotees. And that is what is most important in our life.